In order for us to be successful this season, we're going to need to see more consistency. We had some very good wins last year against some of the top arms in our league, but we also had a few games where we let slip through our hands, and we can't do that. So we're going to need to see 100% attitude and effort each game, and understand as a team that we can't take anyone lightly. This conference has improved greatly since in my time here, and there's not a game that is a layup by any means. We've got to come ready to play and bring it every day. The other thing that we need in order to be successful this season is we just have to stay healthy. I know that that's kind of coach speak, but at the same time, we don't have any infield depth. We had a couple of injuries this summer, and now we're left with only a handful of guys that can play infield, and that's really the cornerstone of our team has been pitching and infield defense. So on the mound, we're going to need to stay healthy. We've got some very talented arms, but mainly in the infield, those guys need to do everything they can in the weight room and with the athletic training staff that we have to stay on the field. Last year we only graduated 5 players, but they made significant contributions to the program for multiple years. We'll start on the mound with Mike Androkonis, who's been kind of the anchor of the staff, leading the staff for the past few years. He was an all-conference performer and a leader on and off the field. And then also Andrew Massis, who was a bulldog on the mound, especially last year in conference play. Felt like every time we gave him the ball, we won. And he beat a few conference playoff teams and won a game in the conference playoffs. So those two guys are going to be very, very difficult to replace. To make up for that production on the mound, we have Matt Devlin, who's a sophomore who saw some innings last year, to go along with a couple very talented freshmen who we feel like are going to be competing for Centennial Conference rotation spots. We graduated Kengo Kawahara in center field. He was our leadoff hitter, and he was a prolific and dynamic offensive player, but really, I haven't seen anyone at this level play a center field like he did, and that's not going to be easy to replace at all. We've got 3 guys out there that are going to compete for the center field spot, but it's going to be very difficult to replace what Kengo did. The other offensive player we had was Jimmy Whelan, who saw some time at third base and also DH last year. He was an all-conference player in my mind. He got snubbed. He led the conference in doubles last year and was very, very good within conference play. And I was very happy to see the senior season that he had. To replace him, we had Max Schwartz at third base at the end of last year, but he suffered an injury this summer. And so we're going to look to a freshman to step in and fill a big-time role at third base. And then out of the DH role, I see someone either from the outfield or a catcher filling that spot. We've got some talented bats behind the dish, and we're going to need them to find a way to get them in the lineup. In order to start with our key returners, we've got to start with the reigning Conference Player of the Year in Dan Morano. Dan had a very, very good year last year. He's the only player in conference history to win the Conference Rookie of the Year and then later on in his career win the Conference Player of the Year. Dan suffered a broken wrist his junior season, so he's back for a 5th year. He got a medical red shirt, and we're excited to have Dan back. And then he's a co-captain along with Danny Blugis behind the plate, who's kind of anchored our catching core the last few years, as well as he's seen some time on the mound at the back end of games. So those are our 2 co-captains this year. And then if you go around the infield, I think Justin Kaveen and JJ Freeman are key guys in the middle infield. They need to stay healthy for us to be successful. They're very talented, but we need them to stay healthy because of the lack of depth. And then in the outfield, we have Matt Cain returning, coming off a pretty good freshman season, and he's got all the potential in the world. So we're looking to put him in right field. I see him starting in right field to start the season, and to go along with Don DiLoretto, who will see time in left field and also on the mound. And he had some big games. He stepped up in some big situations and performed very well last year. So we're looking to see him continue to vault forward into a good sophomore season. And then on the mound, we have Jack Buckley and Jay Cole, who are coming off of fantastic summer seasons. Jack was named an All-American in the Perfect Game League up in Watertown, New York this summer, and Jay Cole was in the Hamptons League, and he was a second-team All-Hamptons League performer. So those 2 guys have been in the rotation for a few years now, and they're looking to have big-time junior seasons and anchor our staff. We expect big contributions out of our freshmen this year. We have 7 first-year players, and we have 3 position guys and 4 pitchers this season. I think the biggest contribution will be on the mound. The 4 pitchers that we have are very talented, and they're going to need to see some significant time to replace guys like Androkonis and Masses on the mound. And then I see one guy probably at third base be an everyday player, and the other 2 will battle for time. But every year we expect our freshmen to come in and be able to compete for time right away, and this year's no different. We are looking forward to a very challenging schedule in 2019. Starting off, we're going down to Greensboro, North Carolina, and playing a split doubleheader, first at Guilford College and then getting on the bus and going a couple miles down the road to play Greensboro. But then the next day, we play at Randolph-Macon, who right now is number 3 in the country and coming off a 3rd place finish in the World Series. So we'll be tested right out of the gate. Every year, I tell my guys that we're going to challenge ourselves and schedule one of the most difficult schedules, not only in the conference but in the region, and I feel like by doing that we're going to prepare ourselves to be ready come conference play. The following weekend we go down to Shenandoah, who finished as a regional finalist last year, so again we'll be tested right out of the gate. It's probably going to be their 10th game and our 2nd weekend outside, so it's going to be a true test for our team. Then we go down to Florida the following weekend and we play 10 games in 7 days, which feature some very challenging opponents, and the teams that stand out are Leslie, who finished 27-11 last year. We play them in a doubleheader, as well as Keystone College, who's a perennial power in the country, and then we play a good RIT team to open it up. So we're looking forward to the Florida trip. When we get back, we play William Patterson in a doubleheader, who is out of the NJAC, and they have a pitcher who's most likely going to be a draftable arm that we saw last year down in Florida that we're excited to see the week before conference play opens up, because I feel like it'll get us ready for conference play. And then our conference, it's as good as it's ever been. We had a team finish 5th in the country last year, and of the 3 conference opponents that we play who made the conference tournament last year along with us, we play all 6 of those games on the road this year. So it's going to be very challenging for us. And I like it that way. I want it that way. I want our guys to be hungry and understand that we're out to hunt for a conference championship. And throughout the year, I think we'll be battle tested. So once conference play starts, we're ready to go.